We begin our story with the death of our protagonist. He is covered in a pool of his own blood after being brutally hit by a car. Dragons are seen soaring through the skies, and it is clear that we're in for another isekai treat. But unlike the other isekai we see out there, our MC this time has reincarnated as a sword. A pretty badass looking one, in fact. Something that would drop from a raid boss, or so our protagonist thinks. He's self-aware that this is an isekai story, and promptly checks his skills and stats. Next, we see some goblins appear. They try to take the sword, and when it doesn't budge, one of the goblins decide to spit on it. Enraged, the sword uses its telekinetic powers to move and makes quick work of the goblins. During the massacre, we see a crystal break after killing one of the goblins, which subsequently makes the sword glow. New skills pop up in his skill bank as well, realizing that he can absorb skills from killing monsters. The sword begins to feel a bit lonely without a wielder, but he is hopeful now as he has a goal to absorb more skills and get stronger for the person who will wield him one day. Next, we meet a cute lowly cat girl wearing ragged clothes and metal frames on her limbs. She seems to be a slave as another person throws a rock at her. He taunts her, calling her weak black cat. The black cat raises her arms at the 6 moons up in the sky and pleads to the stars for power. Meanwhile, our MC is having himself a slaughter fest. After taking out a monster to learn drain mana, the sword can use its telekinetic magic to freely move around and venture into areas with stronger monsters. Saber-toothed tigers, black dragons, and slime bosses. The sword slaughters every high-level monster in the area and is quickly becoming overpowered in the first day of his existence. He learns incredible abilities like instant regeneration, elemental magic, pocket dimension, which can store an infinite amount of loot. As he ventures further out, the sword unknowingly plants himself in an area that depletes his mana when skills are used. Unable to move, he is forced to wait until someone picks him up. 3 days, 10 days, 1 month. Our MC is getting depressed and starts getting delusional. He starts spending his evolution points on his cooking skills, irrationally thinking that being able to cook will increase the odds of someone finding him. If you are confused, you are not alone. It starts to pour, and the sword can't help but feel depressed. The scene shifts to the black cat. Her caravan is being attacked by a big bear with 2 heads. The bear literally and figuratively claps on everyone and enjoys a nice tasty meal. The black cat pleads for power again. Finally, her prayers are answered. She opens her eyes, and a ray of light shines upon our MC. He calls out, telling her to wield him. She steps forward and puts her small cute hands on the big cleaver. She says that she is shocked that he can talk. The sword is also shocked that she is shocked as her face seemingly shows no emotion. She tries to pull, but it's too heavy. As the bear dashes forward, finally she is able to pick it up. Her stats are weak, but when she equips him, the black cat gains all the skills from the sword. In one stroke, she lands a critical blow on her opponent. She thanks him for his help and is about to put her down, but he tells her to keep him. She says she can't, or else her master will take him. Mustache Man sees the sword and tells her to hand it over. She refuses. He beats her and boasts that she is powerless with the collar on when suddenly his neck snaps. The black cat's contract also burns and she is freed from the collar. The black cat thanks him again and pets him on his handle. He tells her to thank him by being his wielder. When she doesn't respond right away, he thinks she doesn't want him. Seems like his isolation made him a bit insecure. She, of course, says yes. She tells him her name is Fran. The sword replies that he is nameless. Since he is teaching her to be strong, Fran names him Shisho, which is teacher in Japanese. Shisho finds out more about Fran. As a black cat, she is part of a race of beastmen, which take great pride in their evolution process. Fran's parents went on a journey to evolve, but their journey ended before they could reach their goal. Fran is now set on the same goal and is determined to achieve it. Shisho teaches Fran all kinds of skills and magic, and he notes that she is a quick learner. Shisho is also very happy that Fran is a caring girl that takes extreme care of her possessions. The pair then make their way into the city of Alessa after catching a ride from random adventurers. After finding out that they can make money from killing monsters, Fran and Shisho decide to register register for the Adventurers Guild. At the Adventurers Guild, we meet a cute-looking nerd with a big rack. Fran walks in and mentions to the receptionist that she wants to be an adventurer. The receptionist says that she needs to take an entry test in order to join. She will have to duel the official examiner named Donadrin. Right when she enters, Donadrin casts Intimidate, but Fran isn't affected. Shisho uses Identify and is surprised at his strength. Level 38 with a ton of skills. Fran dodges the first attack, but is quickly met with a slam slash. Fran dodges again. Donadrin continues the assault and Fran is on defense. She realizes that she won't win at this rate. After dodging another attack, Fran uses Earth Magic to immobilize her opponent. Taking advantage of the opening, Shisho casts a fire spell called Tri-Explosion. Jumping off the wall, Fran uses her sword skill Dragon Fang and wins the duel. The receptionist is awed by Fran's performance, noting that she is a level 1 that just took down a level 38. Next, Fran visits the guild master, and he is immediately suspicious. He questions how a 12-year-old can cast high-level fire spells without incantations. When questioned, Fran immediately says she won't say a word. Fran then goes down to pick up her guild card. The receptionist mentions that she needs to first choose a class. Since Fran is able to wield a sword while casting spells, she chooses the class Spell Sword. Fran gets her guild card and is super enthused. She then asks the receptionist where she can sell her loot. Shisho tells Fran to show some and ends up spitting out a ton. They receive almost 200,000 gold pieces for it, which is a ton of money in this world. Fran requests for a room by calling her older sister, by which the receptionist replies with introducing herself as Nell. Before Fran can exit, some mercenaries decide to mess with her. Seeing as she just received a ton of money, the mercenaries won't back away. They are pissed that they didn't get nearly as much as she did whenever they bring the same kind of loot. Nell retorts that theirs were always butchered improperly while Fran's loot was cleanly handled. Nell continues to let off some steam and makes degrading remarks to the mercenaries. They obviously get angry and attack her, allowing Fran to come to her rescue. The mercenaries go on making threatening remarks as they still think they are hot shit, until Fran decides to cut off one of their legs, using one of her skills called Aura Blade. Despite the show of strength, the dumb mercenaries still decide to attack and get clapped on by a lowly girl. Everyone cheers for the lowly. Now that the fiasco is settled, the two decide to find a room and get some gear. Fran and Shisho are walking around town when a red-eyed grandpa taps her on the shoulder. Both are very suspicious of the red-eyed pops. Shisho immediately identifies him. The blacksmith's name is Garrus. He's not particularly strong, but is a successful blacksmith with many skills and honorary titles, including the title of Royal Blacksmith. Fran and Shisho let their guard down since he seems to be legit. He asks if they want to see his goods, and the pair agrees. Fran tries on some armor. Scratch that, she seems to be getting ready to perform at a lowly concert. No reason to try anything else on. This quote-unquote armor looks like it'll be impenetrable. Garrus charges 150,000. Fran doesn't mind the hefty price tag as Shisho notes that the material is of high quality. Garrus says he doesn't mind selling for cheap as he found it on some dead guy.
What?
Someone who can make a sale after that kind of comment deserves an award. Our lowly is super enthused. Shisho then wants to check the other swords in the shop, but Garrus knows about Shisho and says that her sword is the best in the room. Fran is now on her guard. She asks how he knew about Shisho, and the blacksmith laughs it off. He tells the pair about his red eye and the ability called God's Sight, which lets him see past protection spells against Identify. He claims that the sword is very powerful, but Shisho disagrees as he saw a lot of weapons with way more attack power. Garrus then mentions mana conductivity, which is the innate ability of a sword to infuse the wielder's mana and turn into attack power. Garrus takes one of his swords with 450 attack and instructs Fran to infuse 100 mana into Shisho. He then tells her to hit the sword, and it easily cuts through the metal. He explains that Shisho's mana conductivity has a grade A rating. In other words, infusing 100 mana increases Shisho's attack by 200. Hearing that he can increase his attack up to a whopping 2,000, Shisho is very happy. He turns to Fran and boasts that he is strong. Fran cutely says she already told him he is an incredible sword. Shisho and Fran look at each other with googly eyes.
Sounds like you had a pretty special and intimate relationship with this hammer, and that losing it was almost comparable to losing a loved one.
Shisho asks if Garrus can make a scabbard for him, and he agrees. He then vomits a bunch of his loot again. Garrus says that he can make an awesome scabbard with those materials. Fran thanks him, and the pair leaves. Shisho asks if Fran needs some underwear. Fran responds that she doesn't need underwear to fight.
Sensational.
A random shop owner overhears and shouts that a cute girl like her can't be walking around commando. The pair go into the shop and browse for some clothes. More cute loli clips incoming. The next day, the pair go on their first quest. Since they are the lowest rank, they can only accept low-level quests. Fran is gathering some herbs and mushrooms when she hears a battle ensue in the distance. They decide to investigate and see that adventurers are being attacked by goblins. Without hesitation, Fran charges in to help. After making quick work of the goblins, Fran heals the party with Circle Heal. The adventurers are impressed. After realizing that hobgoblins were in the mix, the adventurers note that this is not a good sign. When hobgoblins are around, it usually means that there are more higher-level goblins, including a goblin king and queen in something called a goblin stampede. A goblin stampede usually follows with a dungeon raid event that can be threatening, as the goblins will attack the surrounding area for food. They note that the city could also be in danger. The adventurers say that they will go back and inform the guild. Fran says that she will continue venturing forward to take down more goblins and find the location of the dungeon. Fran takes out all of the goblins in the area and hits level 12. Back at the guild, Fran explains everything to Klimt and Donadrin. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, Klimt states that a proper hunting party must be gathered to deal with the looming threat. On the day of the raid, the pair visit Garrus to pick up the scabbard. Garrus is excited to show that it can open sideways so that he can telepathically unsheath himself. Why does he need to telepathically open it sideways to unsheath himself when he can do so vertically? Your guess is as good as mine. The pair head to the entrance of the dungeon, where adventurers have gathered. Donadrin is the raid leader. During his motivational speech,
"Wolves, but it is not this day! This day we fight!"
a bunch of goblins appear and attack the group. Fran uses air leap to get a good angle on the goblins, and Shisho uses tri-explosion. Fran clears out some more goblins with sonic wave. Finally, Shisho uses his best fire skill, flare blast, to clear the rest. Fran then decides to go rogue and charges into the dungeon by herself.
Oh, it's a lot better than we usually do.
Alright, chums up.
Ready, guys?
Let's do this. Leroy Dragons!
Oh my god, he just ran in.
Meanwhile, we get a clear glimpse at the Dungeon Master, least attractive goblin you will ever see. He is raving at the fact that he summoned a high-level monster. The raid party followed behind Fran. The dwarf says that they should catch up quickly so Fran doesn't take all the good loot. Shisho remarks that even though Fran is a bit overzealous, he is comforted that they have a Feather of Return, which is an item that allows them to instantly escape a dungeon. Fran continues to move forward like a boss. More goblins get stomped on while Shisho feasts on crystals. Fran is amazed. Fran gets to the king and queen. They are just as ugly as the dungeon master. Fran wants to YOLO, but Shisho wants to strategize. He'll thin out the crowd with some spells, while Fran uses the distraction to assassinate the king and queen. Fran charges in and both are taken aback. Shisho's magic already took out the goblin royalty. Looks like our MC is too overpowered. Fran makes a cute crying face saying that she wanted to take them out. The pair face a swarm of army beetles. The pair decide to take them out. Shisho says that he'll make curry after this is over, and Fran makes another cute lolly face. She has no idea what curry is, but is ecstatic at the thought of it. As they enter the room, a dangerous-looking demon creature smirks. Donadrant and the dwarf finally get to the first red door, but it is locked. Looks like Fran will be soloing the raid boss. Back to our MC, the pair can feel the powerful aura emanating from the demon. The demon can sense the fear. He remarks that Fran looks pretty weak, but that he won't be holding back against her as she made it this far. The ugly goblin shouts to the demon to stop messing around and kill them, and the demon says to shut your trap. The goblin keeps yapping away, making threats to Fran. The demon is not amused. He sends a bullet to the goblin and tells him again to shut your trap. The goblin finally shuts it, and the fight begins. The demon comes out swinging. He is pleasantly surprised that Fran's sword is able to handle his strength. After commenting that her sword skills are formidable, the demon disappears into the shadows. Suddenly, he reappears behind Fran and promptly cuts off her arm. Shisho shouts her name. Both are in shock. The demon attacks, but Shisho parries on time and uses greater heal. Fran is still in shock. This is the first time she's been in a critical situation. Luckily, our MC reacted quickly to the situation. Fran apologizes and says that she will not let her guard down again. He continues his attack before Fran and Shisho can think any further. Fran quickly reacts this time and parries. The demon continues his assault, staying in the shadows. All the while, Shisho has been analyzing the situation. Knowing it's some sort of dark magic, he finally realizes that the demon is hiding in Fran's shadow. Fran is now aware and leaps up to avoid the demon's attack. Shisho applies Vibrafang and Ungodly Poison Fang to her next attack. The attack hits its mark, but the demon smiles. The demon compliments Fran and says that the poison itches, but given his vibe, it seems like the poison is not effective. Given that the demon just resisted one of their most powerful attacks, Shisho doesn't think they can win. He tells Fran to use the Feather of Return when she gets the chance. Fran, however, is still confident they can win. He compliments her once again for her strength. After adding that she has better swordplay and agility, the demon proceeds to use his hidden ability, Skill Taker, and steals Fran's sword mastery skill. The situation has gotten worse. The demon lets out a confident, boastful laugh. How will Fran fight without her sword mastery skill? The demon is ecstatic and says that he'll have fun killing Fran slowly. To everyone's surprise, Fran parries and slashes the demon's face. Without a second pause, she leaps forward and shows her dominance. The demon is surprised. How is she still able to wield her sword? Shisho asks if her skill was taken away, to which she replies that she can still use it. Because the sword skill is shared between her and Shisho, the skill can't be taken away. The ugly goblin makes an evil laugh and undermines the demon's abilities to win. He confidently instructs that he will come to the rescue by summoning elite goblins. As the goblins charge forward, the demon sends out a dark bomb to take them all out. The demon says to the goblin once again to shut your trap and just watch. He tells the goblin that he'll chop off his limbs the next time he interferes. The demon seems to be getting anxious. He comments that he's bored of this game along with the cramped dungeon. He threatens that destroying a human city would be far more entertaining. While charging his next attack, the demon claims that this will be the finisher. Fran just barely dodged the blow. Shisho sees that the situation is dire and tells Fran he will use the feather to retreat. He says that they are too underleveled. Fran agrees that they are, but goes on to add that they cannot retreat after the demon made threats to the city. Fran is determined to end this here and now, so that no one she cares about gets hurt. She pleads Shisho to lend her his power. Shisho is touched. He is inspired by the growth he has seen from Fran both on a physical and emotional level. With a hopeful voice, Shisho says that he will give her all that he has. He analyzes the current situation. The demon's crazy stats and high MP allow him to cast his skills endlessly, while Fran's sword attacks do next to nothing. The demon begins to go on a rampage, casting his magic all over the place and creating a hostile environment for Fran. But during the chaos, Shisho realizes that the demon is intentionally targeting areas away from the goblin. After some thought, he decisively sends his fire arrow at the ugly goblin, and the demon blocks the attack. His suspicions were correct. Taking out the dungeon master will unsummon the demon. Although the strategy is working, Shisho realizes that they will run out of mana before the demon. Shisho tells Fran that they need to take a gamble. The pair stop the barrage all at once, and Fran charges forward. The demon immediately shoots a darkness blaster and follows up with a darkness thunderbolt. Fran dodges both, and Shisho follows up with Mana Sense, which detects the cooldown of the opponent. Using Mana Sense, Shisho deduces that the demon needs 3 seconds between each spell. During that time, Fran can find an opening to attack. After launching Shisho towards the goblin, Fran bombards the demon with a fire spell to keep him occupied. Understanding their plan, the demon smirks and casts another darkness blaster aimed at the sword. However, Shisho was counting on the demon to react. He used his telepathy to change his direction toward the demon. Since he just used a spell, the demon is on a cooldown timer for another 3 seconds, giving Shisho enough time to pierce him directly on the crystal core. After using all of his MP on the last attack, Shisho begins to break down. Fran is completely devastated and bawls out, crying like the ending scene of a sad movie. But Shisho is fine. He regenerated his MP by absorbing the demon's crystal. Fran calls Shisho an idiot even though he didn't do anything wrong. Sounds like my significant other. Unlike me, however, Shisho gives the right reply and says, "Sorry to have you worry. Seems like the ugly goblin is still alive." He goes to the dungeon core and begins to summon another monster, but is stopped by Fran. The ugly goblin then laughs and boastfully tells her that he can't die as he has the bracelet of revival. What an idiot. The ugly goblin dies after Fran cuts off his arm. The core explodes and the dungeon disappears. Our Loli is super enthused. The raid party finally arrives. The knight identifies the corpse and sees that it was a greater demon. Donadrin pets Fran on the head, but then proceeds to grab it, scolding her for the Leroy Jenkins stunt she pulled earlier. Fran is now level 25, gaining 13 levels in one fight. Shisho then checks his own stats. Shisho asks Fran what they should use their evolution points on, but she is pissed thinking that Shisho was looking at his stats while Fran was getting scolded by Donadrin. Even if he was, doesn't seem like he did anything wrong here, as she was the one that YOLO'd into the dungeon by herself. But again, Shisho gives the right response to his significant other and says he would never do such a thing. He then changes the subject and eagerly talks about the curry he promised, bringing joy to Fran's eyes once again. Lot to learn from Shisho. Dude knows how to treat his woman. Since they absorbed the demon's crystal, Shisho also learns Skill Taker. Given how overpowered the skill is, the pair decide to max it out. The pair head to the guild to speak with Clint. Clint begins by thanking Fran for saving the city. He adds that they will turn a blind eye for going rogue this one time since her actions objectively saved hundreds of lives. However, he asks about what happened to the demon's crystal. According to Clint, the crystals are extremely valuable and that the governments usually hold it in their possession. Fran responds saying that she broke it. Klimt is a non-believer, but as an elf, he has the ability to see if there is any selfish or ill intent in Fran, and given that there isn't, he is about to let her slide. However, a large man makes an entrance before Klimt can finish. He calls Fran twerp and says he knows that she's lying. After claiming that he's too smart and wise to be deceived, Fran and Shisho are left speechless. The large man introduces himself as August Olsen, a lieutenant of the Alessanites Brigade. With ears as large as the Niagara Falls and eyes that are more blinding than the sun, August lands a critical blow on Fran with the most murderous wink in all of Westeros. He claims that lies won't work on him as he has a unique skill called Essence of Falsehood, which allows him to see through any lie. Klimt wants to reconfirm that August is accusing Fran of lying, to which August replies that she lied about the demon's crystal being broken. Fran defends herself, saying once again that she broke it. August in response says that Fran lied for the second time. Shisho is now suspicious, so he identifies him. Extremely low stats for a Knights Brigade lieutenant on top of a Swordmaster level 1. Seems like a fraud. After checking his unique skill, Shisho confirms that he does in fact have an essence of falsehood skill that can detect lies, but finds that it also has the ability to make his own lies more believable. So August knows that Fran is telling the truth, but he is using his ability to make the guild master believe him over Fran. Shisho thinks to himself that he is probably using the skill to do some shady shit, and I think we can all agree to that. Despite August's games, the guild master seems to be immune. Klimt advises August that he is messing with the wrong person, adding that Fran defeated a greater demon by herself. Scared now, August backpedals and revises his request, demanding instead to have all of the loot handed over to the Knights Brigade. Klimt firmly replies that the guild has no reason to do so, as they have first dibs to the materials. While spraying his perfume, August continues with his insults, remarking that trivial goblin dungeons should be handled by common peasants like adventurers. Klimt firmly replies that he will not have August slander his guild any further. Fran steps in and tries to stop the arguing. She innocently approaches August and hands over the goblin parts she picked up from the dungeon master. Looks like my feces from yesterday. Disgusted, August slaps away the good stuff, making our cute loli mad. Shisho compliments Fran for the funny joke while Fran seriously contemplates stabbing him. Instead of committing murder, Shisho suggests to try out their new skill taker. The pair proceed to take away the essence of falsehood, but are also surprised when they took away an additional skill called royal etiquette, which gives the user the ability to talk and act like a nobleman. As a result, August begins to talk and act like a 5-year-old. Humiliated, August says this isn't the last they have heard of him and takes his leave. Klimt apologizes about what just happened, adding that August bought his way up the ranks. Before she leaves, Klimt lets her know that she is now a rank D at the guild. Nell then reminds Fran to pick up her reward for her feats at the dungeon. Fran thanks the two in the most noblest of ways. A little while later, we see a bright image of 3 female figures. Shisho seems to be dreaming, but he is self-conscious and also notes that he doesn't actually sleep in this world. This is probably alluding to something that will happen later in the story. Next, we see some cute scenes where the two are making curry. Curry is now Fran's favorite food. During the next several days, the pair continue to do some low-rank gathering quests and eat more curry. One night, the pair are walking around town when Shisho realizes that they are being followed. Fran heads toward an isolated area of town to confront the stalker. August makes his appearance yet again. He is now completely deranged, living without a life of noblehood. Fran thinks he became a zombie. August says to her that she will pay for what she did. After making a few threats, August calls over Giran, who is a mercenary he hired to kill Fran. As he makes his entrance, Giran makes degrading remarks about black cats and says that he is used to cleaning them up. As he steps out of the shadows, Fran's face seems horrified. Giran is a blue cat, which is a race of beastmen that Fran claims to be mortal enemies of black cats. Shisho asks Fran about the history between black and blue cats. As a superior physical race of beastmen, blue cats attacked black cat tribes and sold them to slavery. While Fran is seen shaking from fear, Giran looks down at her and asks if she is scared. Giran waltzes forward, casually walking to Fran, and whispers more cocky slurs. Giran lands a knee to Fran's core. On the floor, and in pain, Fran hears Giran tell a story of a black cat who fought back once. He goes on to say that he grabbed her daughter and cut off all her body parts in front of her. He makes more inappropriate and sadistic comments until Shisho tells Fran to get it together. He says, "Look at this asshole that preys on the weak. Someone like him can't beat you, I guarantee it." Fran wakes up and parries his attack. She quietly asks, How many black cats have you killed?" Giran replies that he lost count after 10. In an instant, Fran is 10 feet behind Giran with his sword up in the air. "Your sword is not as good as Shisho," she says, "but it's pretty, so it's mine now. I can't put living things in my pocket dimension, but I can cut your body parts off to keep you there." Fran is losing it. She proceeds to do exactly what she says. Shisho is worried about Fran's mental state. He tells Fran he deserves to die, but let me do it. Fran replies, "The world thinks they can discriminate against us. I want to change that. I want my kind to live in peace, but if we let sadistic assholes like him to exist, none of us will be left. This is something I need to do." With those words, Shisho realizes that this world is very different from ours. Our morals don't apply to the more savage existence that is the reality of this world. He tells her he understands, but that he'll share the burden. Together with their bond, Fran drives Shisho into Giran's throat. Before deciding to kill August, Klim's voice appears in a water spirit and requests to spare his life. When the pair gets to him, Klim asks if his little water spirit is cute. Fran says that it looks like a slime. Klimt is extremely offended as he is an elf that has a fetish for spirits. He yells at her to not compare a spirit to a lowly slime and claims that spirits are more cute. Moving on, Klimt notes that the guild had a request from August's father to bring him alive. On her way out, Fran runs straight into the crevice of two large mountains. As she lends her hand out, Amanda is surprised as she thinks that she sees someone familiar. Out of nowhere, she spreads her arms and tells Fran that she is her mommy. Shisho asks Fran if she really is her mother, to which Fran replies that she's not. Shisho feels stupid as she has elf ears and knows that Fran's mother passed away. Amanda takes another look and revises her statement, telling Fran that she's not, but then proceeds to tell her to call her mommy anyways. As Fran tries to escape, Amanda says she'll let go if Fran gives her a kiss. Shisho wonders why Fran can't just slip out, to which Fran replies that she is too strong. Klimt tells Amanda to have some restraint, and she finally lets her go. Klimt then introduces the two and says that Amanda is a Ranke adventurer. As Fran heads for the exit, Amanda tells her that they will meet again soon.
Bye-bye.
In the next couple scenes, while Fran goes about her business, Amanda is seen stalking our cute Loli. Fran goes to Nell to complain about her, when again, Amanda is seen in the distance. Nell says that despite being a strange person, Amanda is a good person. She notes that Amanda has been given a title from the gods themselves as the protector of children after she opened an orphanage when she was young. She adds that receiving a title directly from the gods is no easy task as they base it upon the actions an individual takes consistently throughout their life. Meanwhile, Amanda is drooling. Nell then mentions to Fran that the guild master is looking for her. Klimt offers Fran 2 crystals in exchange for taking a dungeon quest. Immediately, Fran begins to haggle and says she'll do it for 10. Klimt is taken aback and replies with saying he'll give 3. Fran says 8. Klimt is sweating. He replies that 4 is the limit. When Fran walks away, Klimt gives in and says 5, to which Fran accepts. Klimt clarifies that because Fran has been growing in rank quickly at the guild, many are wondering if Fran and Klimt are having an affair. To remediate the situation, Klimt wants Fran to take a dungeon quest with other higher-ranked adventurers to prove to them that she is strong. To no one's surprise, Amanda heard the entire conversation and announces that she will also take the quest. The adventurers in Fran's dungeon party have gathered. To the surprise of none, Amanda is first to greet our cute Loli. She asks Fran if she dreamt about her last night. Fran replies that she did and that it was a nightmare. The party leader begins his speech. He lets everyone know that they are investigating a spider's nest and that the excursion will serve as a promotion test for 2 E-rank party members. The leader introduces himself as Cruz Rissel, who is a level 33 duelist class of the C-rank party, Ajor Guardians. His party members are Rig and Izel. He also states that his party will be the examiners for the promotion test. Next up, level 20 warrior class and leader of the E-rank Dragon's Roar party, Victor, Bart, and Jennel. Furion is next, level 27 elementalist class and leader of the E-rank Forest Elves party. Next, Amanda introduces herself to the group and everyone wonders why an I-rank adventurer is participating in a D-rank quest. After Fran introduces herself, Crad begins to make a speech about how Fran flirted with the guild master to get promoted. Crad seems to be an overzealous fellow, passionate about making a big deal of stuff that is none of his business. As he points his spear towards Fran, Crad first decides to call him an old hag. Not the smartest fellow either. He then decides to call Fran the pedophile guild master's favorite. As you might expect, Amanda isn't amused by his yapping. After apologizing to Amanda, Crad goes on to say that he will never acknowledge Fran for sleeping her way up the ranks. Fran replies that she did no such thing. Crad gets up and says that little kids should go back to their mothers. Fran replies that her mother is dead, and Crad finally shuts his mouth. Before he goes over the mission objective, Cruz mentions that Amanda will just be an observer for the quest. He tells the party that their objective is to investigate the spider's nest, retrieve the crystals generated by the dungeon core. With all that said, he instructs the party to set out for the dungeon. After traveling throughout the day, the group sets up camp at nightfall. Fran takes the first watch. While sitting by the campfire, Crad once again opens his annoying mouth and spits out nonsense. He tells her to prove that she got to where she is now through a duel. After Crad makes slurs against her sword, Fran gets pissed that he is talking bad about Shisho, so she accepts the duel. Crad begins with some flashy-looking moves that are easily dodged. He tries another flashy move to no avail, and with one spinning kick to his face, the duel is over. Although she didn't use her sword to finish him, our cute Loli raises Shisho up in the air and says, "Look at this amazing sword." After Shisho tells her that she didn't necessarily use him, Fran uses Shisho's flat side to beat Crad in the head. Amanda compliments Fran for her strength. She then asks if Fran wants to do a practice duel with her. Fran accepts once again on the condition that Amanda stops bothering her if she wins. Amanda accepts, also adding the condition that Fran calls her mommy if she wins. Fran accepts, and the duel begins. Amanda releases her whip, immediately scarring Fran's face. Fran is about to block an attack with Shisho but dodges correctly, understanding that a whip will tangle and potentially disarm her. After dodging a few more attacks, Fran charges in. She dodges the tip of the whip and gets to close combat where she has the advantage but is unable to cash in. Amanda then says that she'll get serious and adds mana on her whip. While whipping up a storm, Amanda compliments Fran for being able to dodge all her attacks. After taking a blow, Fran goes on the offensive, casting wind magic to increase speed and parallel thought to double cast a spell. Before she can cast the spell, however, Amanda lands another blow, but Fran lands her footing and casts Air Burst. Amanda uses Windshield to bring Fran to a halt and blow her away, but our Loli never gives up. Fran casts Flare Blast point blank. Everyone is shocked, but Amanda emerges unharmed. She has a unique skill called Spirit's Affection that nullifies all damage taken once on a 24-hour cooldown. Fran is at her limit. As she faints, Amanda rushes towards her and applies her healing potions. Amanda takes care of Fran while she recovers mentally. Fran acknowledges Amanda's strength, and Amanda returns the compliment. She then reminds Fran of her promise. Fran reluctantly tries to say the word mommy, but before she is able to, Amanda hugs her and says that she was kidding. Amanda admits that she went a little too far as she knows her parents passed away. In a truly caring voice, Amanda tells Fran that even though she doesn't trust her yet, that she will always be there for her. Shisho uses essence of falsehood and sees that there is only sincerity in Amanda's words. Fran closes her eyes as she finally lets her guard down. Fran's duel inspired the others to duel Amanda throughout the night, without even stepping into the dungeon. It seems the guild master already got his wish for others to acknowledge Fran's strength. The raid party dived deeper into the dungeon. Totally missed this self from the last episode. Shameful, as it's a very big plot point to have missed. Definitely deserves more screen time. The group easily navigate through the first 5 floors of the dungeon. Lots of spiders, as you would expect in a spider dungeon. They seem to be filled with a lot of the good stuff. After reaching the 5th floor, the spiders get tougher to deal with. While they retreat to regroup, 2 poisoned members begin to hallucinate and run around in panic. During the confusion, the 2 members and Fran fall into a room where they are teleported away from the party. To make matters worse, the trap disarmed the victims, separating Fran from Shisho. Fran is now trapped in a room with a big spider lady left with just her fists to fight. While the raid party split up to find the missing members, Fran tries to buy time. Meanwhile, Shisho realizes he can use a summon skill to expedite the search using wolves. Not sure where it came from, Amanda is shocked and confused. Suddenly, the wolf begins to attack Shisho. When Amanda gets ready to deal with the threat, Shisho uses telepathy to communicate. He tells her not to kill it as he needs the wolf to find Fran. For now, Amanda decides to trust his words. The NPC tells Shisho that the wolf received too much mana during the summon and is currently in berserk mode. Amanda interjects and says that naming it will form a stronger bond between the master and monster. Shisho names it Tarushi, and the wolf settles down, becoming more like a tame dog. Shisho, Urushi, and Amanda rush towards Fran, tracking her scent. Meanwhile, Fran is struggling, but remains vigilant. Eventually, Shisho makes it on time. The spider retreats, and Shisho and Fran share a moment. Amanda joins in on the reunion, and Urushi also introduces himself to Fran. After, Fran tells Amanda about Shisho as an intelligent weapon. Amanda is ecstatic that her self-proclaimed daughter has an incredible weapon. Now out of harm's way, the group looks for the rest of the raid when suddenly a white owl appears.
The raid is in trouble as the spiders get the better of the party. The elf girl seems to be wrapped up again, always seemingly getting herself in extremely sticky situations. Fear not, however, as our cute Loli makes her entrance. The white owl helped Fran and Amanda get to the party. Spider lady with the big plot does her thing, wrapping herself in a big ball of man plot. The owl sends out the juicer, healing the entire raid. Our boy Crad is feeling pumped like he just got out of the gym. As our Loli gets surrounded, Fran uses her new skill. Just then, we get a flashback of a time when Amanda cared for 2 black cats. Back then, she didn't teach them how to become adventurers as she thought it was best for weak black cats to stay out of trouble. But that decision eventually led them to their death. She wipes out the spider lady in one blow, destroying the monster's crystal along with it. Fran is pissed as she wanted to beat it, and Shisho also wanted to absorb the crystal. At the dungeon core, the adventurers gather the loot that surround the core. Crad apologizes to Fran for his yapping at the beginning of the raid while a spider encroaches on his head. Fran is precise in her attack. Back at the guild, Urushi has a small form, and he is cute as hell. Klimt congratulates Fran for her success in the dungeon. He gives Fran access to a higher level dungeon called the Oma Dungeon, where Fran hopes to find a way that she and other black cats can evolve. When she says she'll depart the city, Klimt is sad and says that he'll be lonely without her. The dude is a pedophile, after all. Finally, she visits Gurus. As she is setting out for her second Loli concert tour, Gurus makes Fran a new outfit. Shisho is mad that our cute Loli's belly button is showing as it is too erotically revealing for him. Despite its lack of battle-ready appearance, the armor is of high quality, and Gurus displays its defensive prowess. Gurus adds that any attacks able to deal lethal damage will be blocked, which is an insane ability. It basically gives Fran a second life, similar to Amanda's spirit affection. Conveniently, Gurus mentions that he is also traveling to Olmut. Seems like people in this town just can't live without our cute Loli. Since Fran is going by sea, and Gurus is a dwarf that appreciate the mountain views, Gurus says he'll meet her there. As she departs, we see all of the townsfolk say their goodbyes. Fran says her farewell to Amanda, and calls her Mamanda for the first time, causing Amanda to tear with joy. A heartfelt ending to our cute Loli's journey in Alessa City. At the end, we see Fran riding on Shisho when suddenly she is attacked. She lands in a shed with a mysterious necromancer, who claims to be in pursuit of the highest order of dark sorcery.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode.